Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and I'm here today at the IRCGN, the Central Ballistics Lab of the French Gendarmerie Nationale, by their generous invitation, and we're taking a look at some cool guns out of their extensive reference collection. Today, we have a KK-Mpi-69. This is the East German 22 rimfire youth training version of the Kalashnikov. So this was adopted, as the name implies, in 1969. The whole designation is KK for Klein Kaliber, or small caliber. Mpi-69 is Maschinenpistole 69, 1969, and in East Germany, the Kalashnikov was identified as a machine pistol. The idea here was to have a rifle that was a little more accessible for, as I said, youth training. Large cadres of youths who weren't old enough to be in the military, but they wanted to do pre-military sort of training. 22 rimfire also allows one to have ranges set up in it's much simpler to set up a range for a 22 rimfire. There's a lot less noise. There's a lot less danger of over-penetration. You can build 22 rimfire ranges inside of all sorts of buildings, and you can have them outdoors in much smaller areas than would be required for a full power rifle range. So this does use the exact same 22 rimfire that we have here in the US and everywhere else in the world. It's one of the cool standardization quirks of the firearms history in general, that 22 rimfire was one of the very first successful metallic cartridges, and it remains essentially unchanged and universal today. So whenever you basically find 22 rimfire around the world, it's the same 22 rimfire. So what the East Germans did was take their stamped AKM rifles and adapt the mechanism to simple blowback 22. Let me show you how. The only markings that we have on here are on the left side of the rear sight block, and those are just a property mark, a couple of proof marks, and a serial number. We have a number of really distinctive East German elements on here. The brown plastic furniture with the pebble finish on the buttstock is very distinctively East German, as is the pistol grip with these areas of checkering on it. The front handguard looks like it is the bottom half of a regular East German AK handguard, again, brown plastic. Now, for the 22 caliber version, there is no gas block because this is just simple blowback. So there's no gas block, no gas tube. The rear sight block is fundamentally different because it doesn't have to do a bunch of other work like in a regular AK. So easy to spot these because of that front end. But these are intended to train on kind of all the standard military features. So we have luminous night sights there, which we can fold down to reveal the standard regular sight, just a threaded round post. The rear sight is obviously an AK pattern leaf, but it's graduated from 25 out to 100 meters. Adjust it like so. And we have a square rear sighting notch. The safety is the standard AK 3-position safety. You'll notice the safety lever itself is notched just a bit there so that in the safe position, it locks behind the bolt. That prevents you from moving the bolt. Does not fully close off the gap there behind the dust cover. It does lock the trigger as well as preventing the bolt from moving. And we have both a D, Dauerfeuer, and E, Einzelfeuer setting. This is a full auto, select fire, 22 trainer. So in D, it is full auto. The East Germans took basically a regular AK magazine body and then replaced the insides with a second magazine that is a 10-round 22 caliber magazine there. So just single stack, and this uses these basically plastic spacers to fit it inside the body of a regular AK mag. So these handle just like AK mags. The receiver here is essentially identical to a regular AK receiver, uses regular mags. Like you could fit a regular mag in there, although it might interfere with the bolt mechanism and the barrel there, but the locking surfaces are identical to regular AK. Disassembly is also just like a regular AK. We push in the recoil spring, remove the top cover. This top cover is a little bit different than a regular AK top cover. And then, very simple here, let's cock the hammer, we take The recoil spring out, also a bit like the same in concept as a regular AK, but definitely smaller in scale. Just a little dinky 22 recoil spring. And then pull the bolt back over the hammer to the end, and it lifts out. There's no separate bolt carrier. It's just a simple blowback bolt. And we really only have two pieces here. The handle is put in place and then pinned. This, as you can see from the metal finish, is a casting, and it has a floating firing pin in it. There's no firing pin spring, but when I hit the back, the firing pin comes out the front. And this is just there to have enough weight to act as a blowback bolt. If we take a look inside here, the rear trunnion is totally different to accept feeding from this AK magazine. There's your fixed ejector chamber and feed ramp right there. So when I lock the magazine in place, that 22 dedicated magazine segment comes out through the front trunnion there, puts rounds in position to feed. And then we have a fire control group complete with rate reducer and auto trip right there. So in D mode, you can see that this element stays in place. If I switch it to semi-auto, now that's going to come forward. So this is the back half of your two-hook AK trigger. So that will catch on the hammer when the gun fires and force you to release the trigger to fire a second time. That's the semi-auto function. In full auto, that's not used, and instead, the gun will fire when I have the trigger down and I push the disconnector there forward, like so. It's basically it's an out of battery safety, aka auto sear. So a little bit of a complex fire control group there for a 22, but kind of makes up for the simplicity of the bolt. The rear trunnion's totally standard. The stock standard, the pistol grip standard, all that stuff is interchangeable with all other regular AKs. These were manufactured from 1970 until 1975, and a grand total of about 50,000 of them were made. The organization that was primarily responsible for using them was the GST, the Gesellschaft für Sport und Technik, or something vaguely like that. Sorry, I'm just going to apologize for my German. It is cool to see one of these like this in its original standard configuration, which is, as you saw, full auto capable, which is kind of cool. Usually youth trainers are only semi-auto. Some of these have come into the US as parts kits, but when they do and when they get built, they're typically built as semi-auto only guns. So again, cool to see this one in its unmolested original form. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'd like to give a big thanks to the French Gendarmerie for giving me access to this guy to film for you. Thanks for watching.